Adam here with the Walzer Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is compare a couple of SUVs. Now on the one side we have the Mazda CX-5, and on the other side I have the Honda CR-V. So we'll look at the interiors, the exteriors, and see which one might just be perfect for you. Let's begin by looking at the 2025 Honda CR-V. Now this is the 1.5T all-wheel drive EX. So the Honda is going to come standard with just a front-wheel drive model, but this is the optional all-wheel drive. So how does that affect fuel economy? It does dip a little bit, but overall you're going to be looking at about 28 mpg combined. Now this is a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, and this is going to be paired to a CVT transmission. So what that means, it's not like the standard 6-speed found in the Mazda. It's kind of like one constant gear, but it's very smooth and comfortable out on the road. Now this particular CR-V, like I said, is the EX, so there's going to be your LX or your EXL model, so this is kind of the mid-tier trim level. This one is going to have the LED front daytime running lights as well as the headlights up there, and you will notice a few different grille options or wheel options as you work through the lineup. This all-wheel drive is going to get the 18-inch wheels with a little bit more tire on the sidewall, which does help, especially during road construction season, as the roads aren't in the best condition, so a little bit extra sidewall on the tire does help smooth out the road a little bit. Now from there, this particular one would not get the power liftgate. You'd have to go up to the EXL model, but storage in the back is very abundant. It does have a 60-40 split rear seat. So what that means, if you're not hauling people around with you, you can pull a little lever, fold the seat down, and it does make it very convenient to bring a lot of stuff with you. Now there is kind of like a lowered floor as well, so it does feel like you get quite a bit of storage space out of the CR-V. Now a few other things on the exterior of this model that does come in a lot of different colors, and it's also available with a hybrid powertrain. So if you're looking for even better fuel economy, that would certainly be an option to consider, and that can also come with the all-wheel drive. Now, before we dig too much into the interior, let's hop over, we'll check out the exterior on that Mazda CX-5. Now let's check out the 2024 Mazda CX-5. Now this is the 2.5S Premium, so there's a ton of different trim levels when you're looking at the CX-5, and it can get a little bit confusing. The main differences is going to be between the turbocharged and then the regular 2.5 motor. So like the name says, it's a 4-cylinder engine, and all Mazda SUVs are going to come standard with the all-wheel drive. So when looking at the SUVs for Mazda, there is no front-wheel drive option, but fuel economy isn't much different than the CR-V. So a little bit better highway mileage out of the Honda, and again, that does offer a hybrid where the CX-5 does not. But this one with the premium package does add a lot of pretty cool stuff, most of which is on the inside, but this one does get the 19-inch wheels, and again, there is quite a bit of sidewall on the tire, so I didn't notice too much of a difference when out driving around. Now this one gets a standard 6-speed transmission, so it's not like the CVT. There's regular gears, there's a little paddle shifter on the steering wheel, so it does feel a little bit sporty in that regard. It does feel like it has a little bit more pickup when on the road, but overall very similar driving characteristics between the two. So now a little bit of a difference with the cargo area. This one does get a power liftgate, so a little bit more convenience there. And then also in the back, the folding seats are a little bit easier to use. There's little handles on the side, so you can pull those and it's going to kick down one side or the other. And it is a 40-20-40 split. So you can fold down just the middle, one side. It is pretty convenient. It does make it really easy to stow and to bring stuff with. Cargo space overall though is going to be pretty similar between the two, just a little bit different of features based on which model you're looking at. So obviously the exteriors are going to be pretty similar between the two, but a lot of the differences are inside. So let's hop back over to the Honda, check out that CR-V. Okay, so behind the wheel of the EX CR-V, there's lots of good stuff in here. We have to start with the infotainment display. So there's a few different ones depending on the trim level. This is the smaller 7-inch display, but I've got my phone plugged in. There's a USB and USB-C charger down here, and that gives me Apple CarPlay, or you can use Android Auto. Now, if you go up to the EXL, that's going to be a wireless system, but there's a huge little cubby down here to keep your phone, and once it's plugged in and charging, you've got things like Google Maps, Spotify. It makes it so easy when you're on the go. You're not messing with your phone at all, and there's also voice controls on the steering wheel, so it does make it very safe. Now, speaking of that steering wheel, this one is just going to be kind of the standard steering wheel on here, and it's got a lot of really good stuff. So you've got your volume controls, like I said, and the voice control on the one side, but then you have a digital gauge cluster on the left. So that actually lets you go through and see a bunch of really pertinent information, whether that's your trip computer stuff, speed and time, the all-wheel drive, and then also some of your safety settings. So you can control those kind of at the click of a button here: road departure mitigation, blind spot monitoring, and then as well collision mitigation braking system. So that's going to be an emergency braking system. And on the other side of the steering wheel, you've also got your adaptive cruise control and lane departure warning. So the adaptive cruise, you set 4, 3, 2, 1 car length distances ahead of you. It's going to keep that distance. It's awesome if you're doing a road trip or a lot of highway driving. Now this one also gets the push button start, and the key fob is going to come with the remote starter. So you can fire it up, get it nice and toasty in the winter. That is a really cool feature. I like the honeycomb design that runs through here as well. The vents did get updated a couple years ago to that kind of honeycomb design. Makes it very easy, they're very directional, and it's going to be a dual climate control for the driver and the passenger. Now, one of the other great things, this comes with cloth seats. So if you like the cloth, especially these because they're heated. So it's a 3-level cloth heated seat. It's also going to be a power seat for the driver, and you do have the little lumbar control down here. So that's really nice if you're looking for the cloth seats. It's something you definitely wanted. It is going to come standard in the EX with the heated seats. There's a drive mode select, so you can go between normal, econ, or the snow mode, so you can adjust that to your driving style. Then you've also got your auto start stop down here, and just a few other buttons for some of the off-road stuff. Now the cup holder is very convenient. There's a huge center console in here as well. And then let's touch on the second row. So I did feel like I had a little bit more room back there compared to the CX-5. There's vents, there's going to be USB charging back there, and those seats can recline. So if you want to lean back a little bit, the rear passengers are going to be comfortable. And I did notice the floor, there's a little bit less of a hump in the middle for the transmission tunnel. So you could put 5 passengers a little bit more comfortable, I think, in the CR-V than compared to the CX-5. But overall, the only other thing, you've got the sunroof up above in both models. So there is a lot of similar equipment in the CX-5, but let's hop over there, we'll check it out. All right, so behind the wheel of the 2.5S Premium, immediately you do notice a difference. This one does have the leatherette seats. These are going to be the 3-level heated seats as well for the driver and the passenger, and same thing, the driver's seat is going to be power. But that's one big difference, that this doesn't come with a cloth seat, so it's just the leatherette seat. So if that's something you're after, you're definitely going to want to look towards the CR-V. This one will get the leather wrap steering wheel shift knob combo as well, and you also do get the push button start, but the remote start's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be built into an app, so that's a subscription-based service versus just being on the key fob. Now the digital cluster, the full center display here, is going to be fully digital. It can show you things like your trip computer, some of your adaptive cruise control is going to be in here as well, and then some of your safety settings, that would be through the infotainment screen. So I think the infotainment display might be a little bit better when comparing apples to apples in here. This one also gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and then you can do built-in navigation as you work through the lineup. It's a little bit more confusing, but I think once you live with the car for a few days, there is a controller down here you can use. So there's a little home button, you can go to your media, but I think most of the time people might be using CarPlay or Android Auto anyways, so that's going to give you all of that good stuff built in, but there's also great backup cameras in both of these models as well. Now, I think the Mazda does seem a little bit more luxury based. I think some of the way the dash is laid out, the soft touch materials in here, it does feel a little bit nicer when comparing with the CR-V. This one also gets the Bose sound system, so it is a little bit of an upgrade there. We do also get the sunroof up above in the 2.5S Premium, and then in the rear seats, same difference. You do have USB charging back there, but it's actually in the center armrest. So if you do have 5 passengers, unfortunately you wouldn't be able to charge your devices as easy, but you do get the vents back there. And like I said, maybe a little bit less room when compared to the CR-V, but overall really pretty close. Now this one does also get a drive mode select, so you can go between sport, normal, and an off-road mode, so you can fine-tune your driving style depending on where you're going or what you're doing. So there is a few different interior options. Obviously the lighter interior here, you can do the darker interior. There's some pretty cool colors like the terracotta as you work through, kind of further up the lineup. But like I said, it does get a little confusing with the CX-5. I think there's like 11 or 13 different trim levels, so that it's good that you can configure what you're looking for, but it does make it a little tricky when you're shopping or comparing apples to apples with maybe a Honda, Toyota, or some of the Hyundai vehicles. Okay, so comparing the two, price, very similar, within a couple $100s of each other. Fuel economy does get a little bit of an edge towards the CR-V. That one is the optional all-wheel drive, where this comes standard with the all-wheel drive. Interior-wise, both are going to have heated seats, but those are going to be cloth. This is going to be that leatherette. Second row might be a little better in the CR-V, but again, it's very negligible. It's almost the same, but there is a few things, like this one gets the power liftgate. That one gets maybe a little bit easier to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It really does break down to getting out, getting behind the wheel, hopping in the seats, hopping in the second row. Maybe you'll notice things like the CR-V second door or passenger door opens pretty much 90 degrees, so it might be easier to load the kids in. But then this one gets the power liftgate, so maybe that's easier for bringing all this stuff along with you. So it's little things like that where I suggest get out, take them both for a spin, see what you think. So that was just a quick look at comparison between the Honda CR-V and the Mazda CX-5. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks for watching.